I'm late today. Oh boy. I have been out to lunch. I can barely move. My daughter said to me, "Come on, Mum, I'm taking you out for lunch." And I've eaten more than I should have done. It isn't bad enough that I'm already lugging around a little bit of extra baggage because of the lockdown. I now have a full belly as well. Had a really, really nice lunch. It's always nice to do that. We tend to sort of always catch up when it's necessary, not so much when it's pleasure. So it was really nice to get out. I really enjoyed it. But running a little bit later, probably about an hour later than I normally would. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Gigi, how you going? I was just saying I'm probably carrying around an extra 5 kilos from lockdown, and then I've gone and eaten this whopping great big lunch. And I came back and I thought all I want to do is snooze, but I thought I'll get on here first before I go and have a lay down. I'm not used to this excitement. Hey, Diana. Hey, Bobby. Hey, Lauren. How's Susan? How you going? Not used to all the excitement of going out. Hey, honey. How you going? Hey, Jeanette. How you going? How are you, Scott? Gigi? My poor Fitbit probably had a bit of a fit about me walking so far. I haven't walked that far in a while. All right, let's read you a fairies card from the Brian Froud Oracle deck. Oh, I don't want to, so I'll put them back and reshuffle. How is everyone? Is everybody getting out and about now? I don't know who's allowed to get out now and whether you're still in lockdown. Oh, himself. How interesting. All right. Let's have a look at card 17. It's very interesting. Oh, there's a bare bottom on that one. Okay, himself. That's what the card's called. Isn't it beautiful? So this is about natural law, life force, magic, and shamanic power. When himself appears in a spread, he not only indicates a great amount of energy is present in the reading, but he also strongly encourages the fairy cards around him. Well, he's on his own here, so you have to put all your imagination into action here. Everything he touches becomes more of whatever it is, more alive, more vigorous, more powerful, more awesome, or more awful. This card in a reading can indicate great victory, triumph, confidence, and power. There is leadership and ability to command, steadfastness and integrity, wild power held and channeled for the good of all. I have a funny feeling I was talking about the power, riding the wild horses. Himself speaks of protection, either of the querent or someone the querent owns protection to, like a child or an elder. Acceptance of paternal responsibility is important, as we are deep and committed relationships. He is the preserver of the natural world and balances. Shamanic power may be indicated here, as well as potential for powerful spiritual healing. Isn't that interesting? Potent creativity. So I don't know what you guys are all carrying around with you at the moment, but it's quite potent coming through there. What happened? Did somebody think you were a boy, Caitlin? He looks like the one from Narnia, Mr. Oh golly, now you got me thinking. Mr. Thompson, whatever his name was. Yeah. That was beautiful in the movie. It was a book I loved as a child and had such a good imagination about it. But when they put it into a movie, they did such a beautiful job of it. They didn't lose anything. Hey, Shirla, how you going? I'm just wondering if I've missed somebody there. Okay. I get now. Okay. Oh, too funny. Tumnus, Mr. Tumnus, that's right, thank you. Yeah, the movies were fabulous and they really were very, very good. After all the years of like reading the books, it's nice when they make a movie and it sort of doesn't discredit the book in any way. It was absolutely beautiful. I thought they picked the characters really well. And what's his name? The actor who played Tumnus, done him so well. He was really good. I watched it not long ago, though. I'm a big fan of those sort of movies. All right, that one wants to come out. I can't remember what we had the other day. Oh, we had Flying Fish, didn't we? I'm not going to read it from the book this time, though. I'm only going to read it from the card. This is beautiful because I can read the card on the back. What a great idea. So Firefly came out and it talks about shining bright, seeing the truth and future blessings. I shine bright and light up the night. Do not be fooled by appearances. Look within for the true guiding light. Your inner light is strong enough to shine brighter during the darker times of life. You have enough light within you to find your way and help others see the light too. It's time to affirm your beautiful inner nature and recognize the qualities that make you an excellent human being. Fireflies are summertime creatures and bring the message that a winter of the soul is ending and a brighter, happier future awakes. So I think for a lot of you guys who've been doing the spiritual work, you're coming out of that now. So whatever you're doing here, you're shining brighter. And that healing energy from the other card says to me a lot of you are coming into your own power here. Oh, no, Susan, that's awful. That's awful. And, you know, we went out today and the restaurant was fabulous. They had us seated a long way from each other. But the shopping centres, I went into a shopping centre. I went in to buy myself a purse. And I got in and I was looking at the purses in a big shopping centre. And this woman came and stood right next to me. She couldn't have been any closer. And I thought, you know, where is it the responsibility of the staff to monitor people within the store? Like, of all places, she stood right next to me. I just got the shits and just walked out. I thought people just don't respect each other. They really don't. I don't know if they're just not bright enough, smart enough, or whether they just don't care. So I went somewhere else and bought a purse. And then I did the whole pretty woman thing when I walked past about. You should have served me. I went and bought $100 purse somewhere else. Yeah, it's crazy. People are just not are not conscious of others. Like, I don't give a 10 hoots if you get it yourself. That's up to you if you want to make way to be sick yourself. But don't really put other people in danger. Yeah, they do. They come up right next to you. She had the whole store and I was on a tiny little table and she stood right next to me. People coughing, yeah, there was I had that last time I went to Woolies. I mean, at the end of the day, most of us will catch this virus and most of us will get over it quite well. But there are still people here that we are taking it home to that may be at higher risk than other people. I have a daughter that's pregnant, and that's what I was going to say, because she's only just got to the stage where she's starting to talk about it. So I'm sort of always worried because she's got 4 children already. She's a master master manifester, a breeder. I had breeder children. But anyway, so you went to get your first other flu shot, none left. No, they've been out for a while. And because, you know, like over the age of 65, it's a different shot. So under 65, everybody's got to share. They do have a different one for children as well. So, yeah, social distancing has become a thing of the past. Who would have thought? It's crazy, isn't there? And I agree, Scott. A lot of the younger people who are getting contaminated are taking it home to their parents. Woolworths, but Woolworths here isn't the same as Woolworths was in England, Sarah. It's a different company. I think in England it was called HW Woolworths or something, but it's just Woolworths here. So I think somebody just stole the name. Somebody here, I don't know if I've missed saying good morning to anybody here. But somebody was saying yesterday when I was talking about spirits that I had a lot of spirit activity on the screen. When I did talk a while back, somebody had written to me and said there was a lot of spirit movement and they'd actually wound it back to where the spirit movement was so I could watch it. So if you're interested, apparently there was quite a lot going on yesterday too when I was talking about spirits. Yeah, Woolies, short for Woolworths. We have our own language here in Australia, and sometimes I forget. Patrick, is he back? Yes, that's Patrick up in the corner. There you go. That's where he ended up after yesterday. Wow, who's got the good eyes? Who said that? Lauren, well done. Oh, you're an astute little girl. Well done. That is Patrick up in the corner. I didn't even know where. I mean, really, that's a long distance. This is a pretty big room. He's been all around the room to get up in that corner. How cool is that? How cool is that? Yeah, H.W. Woolworths in the 70s. Yeah, that was the English one. The Australian one just called themselves Woolworths. They were no relation to that Woolworths at all. So I think they just used the name because people knew the name. Clever sort of ploy. Hello, Patrick. Everybody's keeping an eye on you up there, buddy. Yeah, great eyes. There you go. Well done. Oh, I've just thrown my mouse on the floor now. 2 seconds before I go treading on it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so what else are we going to do today? What are we going to talk about? I just got another, because all the deliveries and things have been held up because of the post office is overwhelmed apparently with deliveries at the moment. And my goodness, what happened there? Kept out of the bedroom. That's 8 legs, Sarah. He's got many more eyes than that. So I've started receiving stuff that I ordered in April. I think it's quite interesting. But I received this one today. So I ordered these ages ago, and then a beautiful person sent me a whole box of Oracle and Tarot cards. And I was like, I have so many now, I need a new cupboard. So I will get one. Crushed it. See, told you. I've done 3,500 steps this morning, which is probably more than I've been doing in a day. 8 weeks from the US. Now, I've got to tell you something funny. I ordered something that came from Wuhan. And my daughter went, really? And I said, yes. When I ordered it, it came up and said it was coming from a delivery center in Wuhan. It took like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 weeks to get here. So there's no way in the world it would have any virus on it anyway. But I never even heard of Wuhan before. And when I went in and had a look, Wuhan, when they said that the virus had come from Wuhan, I just envisaged a tiny little township. It's a whopping great big city. It's as big as any other city. It's amazingly big. So that blew me out a little bit. My Fitbit is going to have a heart attack. So when I'm at work, I do around about 8,000 steps a day. That's pretty average for me. But since I've been at home, I've only been doing like between about 1,500 a day, really. And that's going up the stairs all the time. Wuhan, yeah. So I'm going to read one of these now. I've got them out. No, I've been out for lunch. I've been out for lunch with my daughter. So I got dressed today. Somebody else had a bit of a, this card is called Communication is Key, and it's the new moon in Gemini. So somebody was asking about the eclipses yesterday, and I went and did a little bit of research. So the eclipse we've got on the 21st is in Cancer, and the eclipse that's on the 5th of July is in Capricorn. So if you're either of those signs or have a predominant in your signs, you're probably going to feel it more than most people. So let's have a look. This is quite interesting because, again, there's no numbers on the cards. So I don't know how you look them up. Isn't that interesting? Communication is key. Well, I don't understand why people don't put numbers on cards. It's all right if you're not reading them and you've got a bit of pressure on them to communication is key. Wow, okay, this is really interesting. Is anybody up for love at the moment? It's a good card for love. A successful relationship usually comes down to one thing: communication. I wish they'd tell the other party that I can communicate till the cows come home. Okay, and the new moon in Gemini card is about the start of a new cycle for communicating with the person at the center of your question. Talking things through is the answer to whatever you're asking about. If you can't talk to that person, you can journal about it to yourself. Emails, text messages, and all other forms of communication will help you now. Oh, there's a new start coming. It's time to wipe the slate clean and start over. Emphasizes the need to communicate. Oh, tell someone how you feel. Anybody holding back here? Don't be in your head, not in your heart. Someone is flirting with you. There you go. So it's about Gemini as the sign of communication. So I'll have to get into those cards a little bit more. They sound quite interesting. Yeah, I think I'll have one to go too. Somebody said something the other day and I was like, yep, give me one of them to go. Booty bands. Yeah, they say that the post offices are really overwhelmed with parcels. They can't keep up. They're delivering on Saturday. Hey, Carla, how you going? Oh, yes, Sarah will take some too. You don't think you met your next person yet? Meet people all the time. You never know whether they're going to be your next person. So that was quite interesting. I'll have to have a little bit more of a look into those cards. That sounds really interesting. But yeah, I looked it up. What were the next two eclipses? And the next one for the 21st is in Cancer and the one after is in Capricorn. Again, a lot of astrologers now sort of saying, they were always saying your moon sign is just as important as your sun sign, but they're saying currently it's probably more important to watch your moon sign than your sun sign, which is quite interesting because the moon sign is what they use in Vedic astrology, and now the other astrologists are telling you to look at your moon sign. And I've always maintained my Libra is much more dominant than my Capricorn. So it's quite interesting. Yeah, Jason Momoa. I think he's pretty cute. I'd sort of probably wouldn't hop over the rock. Like the rock. I think he's beautiful. But yeah, so much eye candy, isn't there, on television and in the movies? Really interesting. So is everybody here, how many people are not single here? Is everybody single? I think most of you are. No, there's someone here who's been married a long time. 22 years ago. The person I'm going through something with now was from my past 22 years ago. Holy dooly. Honey, that's a long time. Jeanette, best place to go to look up your birth chart is Cafe Astrology, or one word, and you can put in your details and it will tell you all your planets. But you just need to follow your moon sign as well. Oh, no. Sarah, you're in trouble again. You're in trouble again. How funny is that? Yeah. A lot of people in karmic relationships. I really don't understand why people stay in unhappy relationships, but there's this whole thing, this very religious thing, this sort of obligation thing that sort of says you have to stay with the same person forever. And I was having this conversation with somebody the other day because there's no mention of marriage in the Bible other than marrying someone by just deciding you're going to be with someone. There was no religious ceremony like the Christian people do. And then, of course, Henry VIII said, well, I want to divorce someone. So he went out and got a new religion, called it the Church of England, and invented divorce. So it's a bit of a sort of, I don't know, it's one of these things where you can argue, are we meant to be with one person forever? You know, who said we were monogamous? If it's not in the Bible, there is nothing to say we are. And a lot of us outgrow people. So it's very difficult for people who have been in the same relationship and very unhappy for a long time. And I've met some of them and they're extremely unhappy, but they stay through obligation. I'm like, you only get to live once. If you stay there until you die, then you're never going to really know what it was like to have fun. I mean, it's different if you're in a relationship that's healthy, but if you're in an unhealthy relationship for a long time, that must be so difficult. Um, well, I've been on a couple of dates, and somebody, one of the guys, one of my friends, he said to me the other day, "How are you going on dates in the COVID?" I'm like, "I can still go on dates. There's no reason why you can't go on a date. You just can't get too close, basically. So it's all right to go to a cafe and sit across the table from someone, or meet up with someone and have a chat, but sit at a distance, or talk on the phone or Skype." So you can still date, you just can't be close to people. So I guess at the end of the day, if you want a physical relationship straight off, then you're going to put yourself at risk. But I'm happy just to talk to people. Um, yeah, see, the thing is, I understand that people worried about their financial stuff, but at the end of the day, it's no use to you when you're not happy. So what happens is you find a lot of people in those situations spend the money on things to make themselves happy. Um, I know people like that, but I also have a couple of friends who've been in long-term relationships that are extremely happy. But I do know people who are not, and they spend their money on alcohol mainly, or go on holidays, or do things by themselves. They don't even do things with their partners. Like, that just doesn't sound, it doesn't sound good for me. I don't think I could live that way. I'm all up for spending time alone, having your independence, doing what you need to do, all up for that. I'd be a caged bird if I couldn't fly. I can't handle possessiveness or jealousy at all. But I'm not a possessive or jealous person. So it's very difficult to sort of manage that. But I certainly think people should have their own independence in a relationship, but but there's still things you need to be doing together. That you should still have some things somewhat in common to to make sure you get by. That's it. The death do us part. It was a very religious thing. That's all about religion. That was all about getting locked into a relationship. But then people put so much emphasis on the money and losing the money. But at the end of the day, what is the money? Is it really and truly worth, putting yourself through excruciating pain? And like I said to you the other day when I spoke to you about catching my friend's husband out, and I said to him, "You need to go back and tell your wife what I've seen you doing." And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I went back to her and said, "I caught your husband cheating on you." And she was like, "Well, if he has sex elsewhere, at least he doesn't come to me for it." And I was like, wow, that was 27 years of marriage. And I have had two friends who've had 25 to 30-year relationships, both caught their husbands cheating. If you don't want to be in the relationship, move on. For the sake of your money, your house, don't be unhappy. I like to be alone too. And I always thought, how hard it is to let someone into your life when I've had lots of years by myself. And I certainly think it's difficult when you're used to doing things a certain way, but I guess it's just what you want in your life. Yeah, I agree, Lauren. I think that's it. It's okay to have as much independence as you need, other than cheating. I'm not really fond of that idea. But I think that you can have your own interests and still do things together. I think that's a healthy way of doing things, but yeah, it's a bit funny, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, she broke off your friendship because you caught him cheating. Yeah, that's a good way to deal with it. Denial. Yep, exactly. And some people are happy having money, being able to spend money on themselves, having beautiful clothes, beautiful jewelry, nice car, and they will put up with a bad relationship because I suppose the material side of them is so needing to be nurtured. I guess it's what you're looking for. If that keeps people happy, it's good for them. But I really think it just depends. What are you looking for in a relationship? And I think that's something that's, very personal to us. But I think as you get older, perhaps some aspects of what you enjoyed when you were married, when you were younger, are not the same as when you get older. Because I think that you learn to do things very, very differently. And I think money does give you choices, but it shouldn't be your be all to end all. If I had a lot of money, I would prefer to travel the world rather than have a house. If I had a lot of money, I would like to be doing things that expand my consciousness or give me more opportunity to understand. I love other cultures. I think it's fascinating how people live, and I really enjoy getting into. I love the food too, but enjoy getting into the culture. So if I had the money, I would just love to just say, well, okay, I'm going to put everything in storage and I'm just going to travel the world for 12 months and just sort of see everything. That's where my happiness is. Um, that sounds pretty cool, honey. It's funny, isn't it, how people will deny, and that's what I said. It's really difficult. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to India, Sarah. I think I said to you the other day though that Italy was my big thing. I had it on my board. I also really, really want to do a canal cruise through Europe and see a lot of the European. I love history and architecture. Love it completely and utterly. Would spend days looking at art and and buildings and whatever else. I just think it's wonderful. And Italy was my thing. I just thought, I just want to go to Italy. I just want to go and hire a car and just do bed and breakfast and just drive around the place. But of course, that's gone on the back burner. That was here for this year. Yeah, that's, to me, Caitlin, just being able to get out amongst culture for me would be absolutely wonderful. And I could take my camera with me and I could do readings on the road. That would just be awesome. My dream would be to do that. But I've gone on holidays on my own before. My friends think I'm really funny because I do all sorts of things by myself, and I'm quite comfortable with that. But I've been a couple of times on holidays at the time with the shaky bed. I don't enjoy going on holidays by myself. I can enjoy my own company at home, but I think things like going and seeing culture, taking photographs, seeing shows, going to magnificent theatre productions like the Moulin Rouge in Paris was amazing. But you need to share that with someone. It's really hard when you're sort of like, oh my goodness, did you see that? Well, no, because you don't have anybody with you. And eating in restaurants I felt like a loser eating in restaurants. That might sound funny. So I'd just go and grab my food and go back to the hotel room and, read a book or watch telly or whatever, rather than sit in a restaurant by myself. That's something I don't enjoy so much. But yeah, I haven't. Yeah, once you get older, I think traveling is really important. I can do it too, and I do love being alone, Sarah, but I think holidays are to be shared. They're a bit like doing Christmas by yourself, right? You wake up on Christmas morning, the tree's up, and you've got, a present to open, and you don't have anybody to share that present with. That's sad for me. I'd much rather go down and watch all the grandchildren open their presents. It doesn't worry me that I don't have anything. That wouldn't worry me one little bit. But the pleasure of sharing that particular thing is so important. And for me, the travel aspect is something I would rather share with someone than do by myself. And I get, that when you get older too, it's not so important to, you don't see material things as so important as when you're young and you're starting out and you want to have, your own house and your own furniture and everything else. I have everything I need. I don't need anything more than I have. And that's fine by me. I buy things as I need to. Sometimes, like this morning, I splurged and bought myself a really nice purse. So sometimes I'll go and do something like that just for the sake of spending money on myself. But I'm not really what I consider materialistic. I have what I need, and that's good. But I'd be just as happy to throw everything into storage and go traveling. Yeah, oh, you love traveling alone with your camera. Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, I've done it, but I just prefer to do it with someone else. So when I go up and see my sister, I have a lot of time by myself. I go and do I know, I got a tattoo one time I went up. I've, traveled. We went whale watching last time. And I remember I said I was vomiting on the back of the boat while she was enjoying. She was the one that normally gets seasick. And for some unknown reason, she didn't. I did. She was so excited about the whales and taking me whale watching, and I ended up vomiting with the children. Yeah, see, that's how I am, Sarah. Give me adventure. I love it. So my first adventure for this year was to go to Italy. And then next year I had down that I wanted to do the canal cruise through Europe, but it would be nice to do that with someone. I'm not really, I think it would be nice to see everything, but I'd love to have someone to share it with. Yes, definitely. Yeah, with the kids, because kids like different things too. Although I've got to say, I think I've visited every zoo in the world that I could have got to. So I've been to zoos everywhere. Last zoo, Hawaii, I think. Singapore, I've done the bird park and the night zoo and the day zoo in Singapore. London, I've been to the zoo in London. I've been to just about everywhere in Australia in the way of zoos, so I still love going to zoos. How are you, Jane? How are you going? So Queen of Water, you would go on the cruise down the canal. Well, if you're up for that, let me know. I think that you can do a ticket which includes flying out, accommodation, your food, and all your costs along the way for about 10,000 Australian dollars. So it's a pretty good holiday. Oh, you haven't done Dubbo Zoo? Well, that's an experience. When I went to Dubbo Zoo, I went with my daughter and a friend, male friend, and he bought me a ticket for the weekend, which included, so it was a 48-hour ticket, and it included, like, you could do anything over the whole weekend. I wanted to see the painted dogs because I've not seen painted dogs before. And if anybody doesn't know what a painted dog is, they look a little bit like a hyena, only they're quite large. Anyway, and they're a bit smelly, but that's all cool. I'm like all good with that. But what it included was having breakfast with the animals. So in my time, I have fed an elephant, which is my favorite animal. I fed an elephant an apple, and the elephant was really pushy with me and tried to get another apple, but only had one. But when I went to Dubbo Zoo, I fed a giraffe. I've since fed another giraffe, but I fed a giraffe and its tongue wrapped around my hand, and they have furry tongues. It was so cool. How can you capture that? Oh, just I was in heaven. And I've shook hands with a monkey. So I've had lots of experiences with animals. I love animals. So, oh, are they? That does not surprise me at all, Sarah. With the dolphins, I really would like to go to. I think it's Perth, where is it Monkey Mire, where they have the dolphins. That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to swim with the dolphins too. I think that would be really cool. I don't know how we go with that. I had the most beautiful experience in Taronga Park. I have family who worked in Taronga Park, and one time I was up there and I was at the glass window where the nursery was, and there was a young orangutan in there. And I went up to the window to have a look, and I put my hand on the window to have a look at the orangutan, and the orangutan put its hand on the other side of the window where my hand was. That was cool. I couldn't capture it. How can you photograph if you're on your own? So, but I just remember how beautiful that was. That's too funny. Gave a zoo elephant snuff. Oh, really? Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, I love the lions, the tigers. I'm particularly fascinated with cheetahs because I love the way the cheetah noise, that chuckly noise they make. Oh my goodness, that's just amazing. And I love the birds, and I love butterflies, and I just love animals completely. It was one of the most amazing moments, Gigi, and as I said, nobody was there to capture it on camera. I had someone with me, but it was just such a moment that I just didn't get it captured. I don't mind snakes. I think snakes are really beautiful. I'm probably more fascinated with like the big snakes, like the anacondas, and that they have the most beautiful faces. I just guess, a poisonous snake in the bush probably isn't quite as much fun. But I was up years ago. I was at Taronga Park before they did it all up, and they had an enclosure right in the beginning. And when we went in, there was a snake halfway through a rabbit. And I mean, nowadays they would not allow that to happen. But I found that really disturbing. And then when I moved to Queensland, it's not unusual there for the snakes up there to catch small kangaroos, and so you can see it. It takes them, quite a few hours to sort of completely digest the kangaroos. So they've sort of got half the kangaroo hanging out of them, which can't go anywhere. So and that feeds them. I mean, it's their natural food source, and it feeds them for months on end. So I guess you have to be, I don't know, tolerant of the fact that animals have to use other animals for food source, but it's not nice to see. They remind you of Satan. Yeah, if you get poisonous snakes, have the zippy eyes. Yeah. But I've held a snake. I held a snake in Singapore in the day zoo. I don't know what a sort of snake it was, but it was really heavy, and they gave it to me to hold, and I was like, you have to hurry up and take the picture because it was slithering. And then it got up really close to my face, and I was a little bit nervous. So you can sort of see me, looking a little bit nervous because it got in my face. But the koalas, I've never been a fan of koalas, but when my uncle came out, he wanted to hold a koala, so he took him to the zoo at Currumbin in Queensland, and he held a koala there. I think the snake I held probably was some sort of a python, but I've actually touched some of those animals too when I've had because I remember the first time I touched a snake and I thought a snake was slimy, and it's actually like a gloamish purse. They're actually really cool how they feel. But yeah, dugongs, yeah, they're beautiful. Where did they have them? They had them in Singapore, I think, too, and the other ones too. There's dugongs and something else. But they're amazing, amazing creatures. Yeah, I don't think I'd like to fight with a shark. Yeah, snakes are really heavy. Like, blew me away. Like, it wasn't that big a snake. It might have been, maybe a meter and a half tops. It wasn't a huge snake. But honestly, holding it in my hands like that, I was like, oh my goodness, it's so heavy. And of course, I was uncomfortable because it was so heavy. And when it started sort of coming up near my face, it sort of made me a little bit nervous. But it wasn't poisonous, obviously. Yeah, you're talking about hippos. I think that anacondas look like cows. I always think they have faces like cows. I don't know why, but they have plain eyes, so you can tell if they're poisonous, because a snake has the slitty eyes if they're poisonous or venomous. Not poisonous, venomous. But no, love animals, love all of that sort of thing. So I'm quite happy. I've taken the kids a few times to places, but the trouble is I want to look at things forever, and the kids are like, where are we going now? Where are we going to? And I'm like, hang on a second. I just want to keep looking at this for a little while. So, and then we've done all the small animal farms and things. We have quite a lot around us where we live here, sort of more petting farms, although a couple of them do have big lions and tigers, but sort of in the general hour, which is really cool. Otters. Yes, dugongs. Yeah. Otters, beautiful creatures. They are really beautiful. Does anybody remember the movie Ring of Bright Water? That was a bit sad, but it was a good movie. So if you ever get a chance to see it on television, I don't know if it would have been black and white. It may have been early days of colour. Ring of Bright Water, but it was about otters. Meerkats, yeah. My mum used to always like meerkats. I remember her being, and my mum's sister loves meerkats too. So both of them a bit fascinated with them. I can't remember what zoo. It might have been Australia Zoo. Where the crocodile hunter comes from. They have a lot of meerkats there. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And they had little tiny baby ones, and they were so cute. Oh, there you go. You've had a python around your neck. It was smelly and heavy, but friendly. They are really heavy. I don't know why it's sort of, you look at a snake and you don't think of it as being heavy, but they are really heavy. It's so bizarre. But yeah, so I love animals. I've never had, obviously had photographs with, I'm a big alpaca fan. I absolutely adore alpacas. I think they're the greatest thing. And when I went to Las Vegas, they've got a zoo in Las Vegas, and they had alpacas there, and we took a photograph of one because it looked like Elvis Presley. They'd cut it, oh, well, I don't know if they cut it like that or whether it just ended up like that, but it had these really big sideburns on it. My daughter and I were absolutely chuckling over it. Sarah's going. See you, Sarah. Oh, phone is dying again. So, yeah, and I like sloths too, Queen of Water. I do like sloths. I think they're beautiful, really beautiful. But as I said, I like hyenas too. And there are two types of hyenas. There's a little tiny hyena, and there's the big hyena that looks like a small horse. And I'm fascinated with them. I think they're absolutely beautiful. But I didn't know for years that they're actually related to cats, not to dogs. So that sort of blew me out a bit, because you always think of them as being a dog, and they're not. They're a cat. Yeah, I like the alpacas. We have a lot of alpacas in Australia. A lot of people breed them for their wool and make stuff out of the wool. Oh, you can see beluga whales. Oh, how beautiful. We saw the whales up on the Gold Coast, and we saw a lot of them up there. I'm trying to think what sort of whales they are, but they were huge, and they travel with three. So the mother travels with the baby, and they have like a lookout. And the guy was telling us all about that, and I found that really fascinating. Didn't realize they still existed. Do you mean sloths? Yeah, I can get you, Queen of Water. Well, you have water in your name, so maybe you might be a mermaid. Nothing more beautiful than animals, though. Sloths, yeah. No, they're gorgeous. There are two different types of sloths as well. There's the two-toed and the three-toed sloths. Very, very different. Interesting. Yeah, I've heard about that, Janet. The alpacas, they put alpacas in with the sheep. Oh, someone just touched me on the back. Someone just touched me on the back. They use them here in Australia to keep the foxes away, I'm understanding. Yeah, I'm going to take seasickness pills next time, Caitlin, because I've never been seasick before, and I can tell you I have never, ever, ever felt more sick in my life than what I was with those whales. I've never been seasick, and it's the most horrible thing. And as soon as you get out of the boat, it goes just straight away. And I was green. I was green with red eyes. And I think I might have said to you, I said to my sister, didn't you take a picture? And she was like, oh, I wouldn't photograph you like that. You'd have been horrified. I was like, thanks. I wanted to see how bad I was. Green. Yeah, I just had a tap on the shoulder. It was quite funny. Spirit visits, yeah. Well, as I said, now that people have pointed it out to me a couple of times, I think you always have visitors here. The energy, when I talk to you guys, the energy you give off is just so high. That's why it's so hard when someone in the room brings the vibration down. And we've had that sort of happen a couple of times, but the most of you are just vibrate so highly. I have been sailing. I have done professional fishing. I have been on the ocean in a small bathtub-sized boat fishing for snapper. I have gone prawn fishing. I have fished on the ocean. I have fished on the lake. I have fished and fished and fished and fished. I've been sailing. I've been cruising. I have never been sick in my life. I get on a catamaran, which was a huge catamaran, to go whale watching. And within the first 10, 15 minutes we took off, I started to get nauseous. And before I knew it, I had a paper bag on my face. And I vomited the whole time. I missed everything and then came out the other end. And to coin it all off, or whatever you'd like to call it, I was offered seasickness tablets and went, ha, 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 I've never been sick. And I think I did it myself. You can put the fish back, Shishi. It's really good fun catching fish, and you can put them back when you're finished. We were very, very strict. We would only take the fish that were big enough to take. If you hooked something little, you always released it. And I've seen big, like we caught big snapper, which were well and truly could go, home with us. And then we'd catch the real little ones too, and we'd throw them back in. It doesn't hurt them. It does take a little bit of work getting the hook out of their mouth sometimes because it sort of locks in. But oh, that's no good, Jane. So it threw your balance off by the sounds of that. Yeah, I used to take my kids fishing all the time, and I remember sometimes my daughter used to catch the most fish, which infuriated the boys all the time. And I remember people coming over and saying, "Why are you throwing the fish back?" And I was like, "'Cause they're undersized." But people do take the undersized fish, sadly. Excuse me. Yeah, the waves were very bouncy that day, Caitlin, and I think where the whales sit, they sit in like very deep water, and I think because we didn't keep moving. We sat for quite a long time on those really bouncy waves. I don't know. I've been on the ocean on waves like that and I got nauseous. I've got nauseous before, but I certainly have never vomited, and I vomited big time. So, yeah, when you vomit and you're on a little boat, you can vomit straight in the water. That you burly up. But I couldn't do that on the big ship. I had to vomit in a bag, and they wouldn't let me stay in the toilet, but I actually felt better in the toilet. And the girl said to me, "Come out of the toilet so we can give you some ice." And I was like, "I don't want ice." As soon as I put ice in my mouth, I wanted to vomit more. Oh, wow. I'm a bit like that with meat though, Lauren. I go through stages. I'm such an animal lover, and I really enjoy meat. And I go through periods of time where I can't eat meat. Like I'll go through times where I just can't eat meat, and then I'm fine again the other day. So um, the other day I read something someone had written. I sometimes I like the meat, sometimes I don't. A few times I've cooked meat up and then just not been able to eat it. So I don't know why that happens. Um, yeah, I don't know why. I really like meat. I like eating meat. I'm a meat eater, but every now and again I can't. It just yeah, and I think I'm a bit the same. I think I'm getting to the point where maybe I can eat sort of mince and sausages because I can't think about anything else, but can't eat chicken because I can't eat off the bone. That just does me in. Um, so yeah, I go backwards and forwards with the meat. Meat comes from the butcher. But my grandchildren, none of them would eat meat. None of them eat meat, or one of them eats meat now, but none of the others eat meat at all. They're all vegetarian. So I don't know what happened. I think I've raised a lot of rainbow grandchildren. But yeah, you can throw the fish back. You don't have to take them. You can throw them back in the water. I think it's a good idea. All right, I better go. It's 2:30, so I better let you people go and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me. I always enjoy the chats we have, although I'm the only one talking, which I think is really funny. You're welcome, Scott. Yeah, school pickup for you, Lauren. Yeah, I'm going to go and have a bit of a relax, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Thanks again. Love to you all. Mwah.